about in Lucas County, but we're, maybe half an hour from here, and we're south and west. And we're out in the country, and we're blessed to have 5 acres of just everything. We have ducks and chickens and bees. And I got started in soaping because my children were small and I'm homeschooled. I'm pretty much into hippie. We are like that. If we can grow it, we want to grow it ourselves. If we can make it, we want to make it ourselves. So I love handmade soap, and we were traveling for my husband's business, and it was getting to be a costly hobby that I would be buying these soaps here and there. And I thought, I'm going to try and make this myself. And my first batch, do you mind if I talk and work at the same time? You guys cool with that? Oh, I just want to ask you, any of you familiar with herbs and like natural healing, alternative? You're good with that? Okay. Because everything that we make at Abundant Soaps has a purpose, has a reason. We purposely do not put fragrance oils in because they're synthetic, can affect your endocrine system. We purposely do put in food-grade oils, beeswax from our bees, we were just talking about our bees. We purposely put in goat's milk, good local things, our herbs that we grow, our lavender, our chamomile. So the first batch, I did not know how to make soap. I did not know that if my lye is hot and my oils are hot, and my oils are hotter than my lye, you get a volcano effect. And this is the funny part. I made red soap. So it looked like lava. And we were building a house. We were living in this house trailer that had no counter space. So it was on top of a portable dishwasher, spewing. I actually have pictures. But it's good because I learned a lot. Hi, I learned a lot. Hey, anybody that's come in, before you leave, I want you all to take a sample soap. And we're going to have some giveaways too. So since then I've learned not to do that. So this is my lye. I'm going to kind of talk and soap at the same time. And these are my oils. What I have in here is olive oil, coconut oil. Now coconut oil gives soaps good bubbles, lots of nice bubbles. Olive oil is humectant, very good on your skin, high in fatty acids. A little bit of castor oil, you know that oil that in the olden days they wanted you to swallow, or you can make packs with castor oil packs. Castor oil gives more of a dense bubble, but it evens out. It's really nice in soap. I do use ethically harvested organic palm oil. Any of you up on the whole palm oil debate? I was totally against palm oil, wouldn't soap with palm oil, until I was doing a reenactment where we dress up 1850s and stir the soap by hand, which takes an hour, and a stick blender 5 minutes. And a missionary, this is at Sauter Village in Archibald, this missionary, and I don't even remember what South American country that he had grown up in, this big, huge, tall guy. We were in this tiny little herb shack, and he said, these native people, they've grown up with their main crop as palm oil, and they barely get any kind of, that's their main source of income, and it's meager. And he talked about, I said, but palm oil is so bad for the orangutans. When they're harvesting the palm oil, there's been horrible pictures. I didn't see any pictures. What they've done to the orangutans, it's beastly, it's ghastly. But he said, yes, that is true, but there are good people. And he lived on a compounded area next to a man that it was organic, it was grown well, they took good care of their people. And he said that if it weren't for that palm, that would be a whole village that wouldn't have an income. And he said, whether you agree with it or not, unscrupulous and scrupulous people will still be making palm oil. And palm oil does add some really nice characteristics. In a 110 ounce oil batch, I use 6 or 7 ounces of palm. Sometimes I put rice bran oil in because that adds a nice bubble. What I'm doing now, coconut oil becomes solid at 76 degrees, and on my dry over, it sunk to the bottom. And so I I want to make sure that it's all off the bottom. Because when I go to pour and I have a big chunk of white at the bottom, that's not good. So, the reenacting, we like history, and I like soap making. And so, we settled on 1850s, and we go around to area like Apple Butter Fest, and Bowling Green has a Heritage Days, and over an open fire, I stir over this big copper kettle, and I make batches of soap using fats that I render myself, tallow or suet, and then we attempt to make our own lye. I don't know if any of you are interested in how you do that, but you use hardwood ash from hickory trees, oak works, apple works, and actually stick my fingers. Yeah, we're good. And you layer them in a box similar to this with straw. Wood ash, straw, wood ash, straw, wood ash, and then you pour rainwater through, and then you let it sit a bit, and then you collect it. And they used to make kind of barrel-shaped hoppers, where that's just what they would have. They would have their lye collection space, and then during butchering time, they would save their fats, render them. And if they could get to it, sometimes they save their fats, and they would go off, become rancid. Any of you ever smell rancid fat?
Yeah.
It's like roadkill. It really does stink. But they would clean their fat, and there's a way you can add salt to it and boil it, and some water. It doesn't do a great job. And then make their soap. What could you do? I mean, they didn't really have a store. We reenact our Black Swamp area, and there wasn't a whole lot. If you lived out in the boonies as we do, you make it yourself or you do without. Are you up on how handmade soap is created, what the chemical? It's lye and fats, and when they react, they create soap and glycerin as a byproduct. And a lot of if you buy store brand bars, they're really detergent bars, they're not soap, because they've sucked off the glycerin. They get a higher payback. They sell that glycerin and make more money, and then they add moisture. They add lotion or whatever for their moisture to it. Are you up on how handmade soap is created, what the chemical? It's lye and fats, and when they react, they create soap and glycerin as a byproduct. And a lot of if you buy store brand bars, they're really detergent bars, they're not soap, because they've sucked off the glycerin. They get a higher payback. They sell that glycerin and make more money, and then they add moisture. They add lotion or whatever for their moisture to it. So, yes, there is lye. People think, lye. They think like their grandma used to make soap with lye heavy. But we do not use lye heavy recipes. I do when I make laundry detergent. I assert, because you want lye heavy. That makes nice white clothes and clean clothes. The soapers, we test it by putting our tongue on the bottom of the bar. And if it zaps, if it's really like a battery, stingy, it's way too much lye. And if it just tastes like soap, you're good. Now, I didn't lick all your soap, don't worry. So, after soaping 3 or 4 years, Sutter Village asked, will you come teach classes in soap making? And I've been a piano teacher for 24 years. So I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. And it is fun. It's great fun. But there, when I teach classes, I teach them, they're 2-hour classes, and I teach them sap values, different properties of oils saponify differently. I teach them, I make them pour their own oils and make them pour their own lye, because I don't want them afraid of the lye. They do everything. And we talked about the chemical aspects. This is already starting to thicken up. Okay, as a soaper, you want trace, or we want trace. And trace is when, let's say if you're making cocoa beets or pudding, and you stir your spoon and you see a line in it, then you know you're good for soap. What we do is I have exactly like I did today. I have the lye ready, I have the oils ready, I have 5 stick blenders, and then the people make the soap that you have with lemongrass oil, and we donate all of the soap to area food pantries, to ISO Impact, and to Cherry Street Mission, and the Toledo City Food Bank. And I cannot tell you one thing. besides my family that gives me greater joy than doing it. I love to give. And I have been making my own, so not to toot my own horn, I've been donating. But one person can only do so much. And when I have, I think there were maybe 14 people that came to the last one. We made 6 batches of soap. That's 242 bars of soap. And they have their own food pantry. And so they got to give over 100 bars of soap to their local food pantry. It's just, my husband made all my molds. So these are just, he's used aspen wood, but these are probably pine because I need so many molds. And I have lined, anybody here that wants to make soap, feel free, to take my email, to call me. I would love to walk you through it. But one of the terrible things, you learn that you have to line your molds. That's why he made these with releasable hinges, because there were times I was whacking it against the counter trying to get it to come out, because sometimes it gets very hot. So I'm using like a food grade cutting board mat as my liner, because I was using freezer paper. I just don't like throwing that away. It's plastic line too. The least amount of waste. I was just talking to someone here, where'd she go, about wrapping. Some people, we're in 24 different stores, and we have this is part of our webpage, an online store, and locally we're at Phoenix Food Co-op, and we're at Walt Churchill's, the Mommy in Perrysburg. We have a list on our website where we are located, but some of the places want them plastic wrapped because they think it will keep the essential oils in. I just, it's not my gig. It's not my thing. I don't want to waste the extra plastic. Yeah, I don't want that. My soap's kind of marinating in that, whatever. So what I'm waiting for is this to get bigger, and it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'll pour out my essential oils. And being that this is whole, I think I told you this is a licorice. If you all want afterward to smell all the essential oils, that's a benefit. Feel free to do that. I just would ask you not to touch raw soap without gloves, and I only have one more pair of gloves. The groups that have made soap have donated the materials, like I would get them a wholesale, and we kind of met in the middle, and we've been able to work it down to $25 per batch, which is less than $1 a bar. Which, if you know, my soaps sell for $5 a bar. Part of that is because, and I don't want to pick this up now, I have oily fingers, but the different, extra things we're able, like, there's one that we use, rose geranium, which is a costly essential oil. So, I looked for an essential oil supplier that I knew was certified, yet, they would make sure that they're pesticide free, make sure that they weren't synthetics. Like a lot of people, they'll claim they have pure essential oils, and they are not. They adulterate them. And you have to be really careful.
What do you look, how do you tell the difference, like when you get one that's been
That's a really good question. One way is to know the going cost of, let's say, your oil.
Right.
Like if your frankincense is very expensive, it's wonderful for skin conditions. But let's say Young Living's frankincense, let's say it's $60 for 15 milliliters. It might be more than that. There is a company, none of you are essential oil sellers, are you? Like, am I going to offend you if I talk about essential oils? There's a soaping company called Essential Depot, and they sell a 4 milliliter, this is 3.3, or 4 fluid ounce bottle, and there's like $20. And you cannot tell me that, and it smells like, I actually ordered one, it smells like chemicals.
So if it's too good to be true, probably it is.
Yeah, I mean, it smells like toilet bowl cleaner. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Just really, yeah, so that's one way. Especially if you're going to use these in my house. Like some people cook with dill. I would just be really careful what you use. When you add your essential oil to your soap, a lot of times it will accelerate trace. And as soapers, sometimes we want that, sometimes we don't. I have a soap that has cinnamon oil in it, and I have liquid soap, like thick as chocolate milk. I add the cinnamon oil instantly, it's a glob. So you have to quickly, I do not sickle and back. I stir it for it. I wish I had a camera that would remind you, you can see what it looks like inside the pot. and thank you for reminding me of that. When you add lye to water, you never do it the other way around. It instantly heats up to 200 plus degrees Fahrenheit, which is really warm. That's why my first batch did not turn out, because my oils were hot. Now, if your oils are room temperature, you can add hot lye to that and get away with it. However, if you add your essential oils to that, you're going to have a problem because heat makes essential oils evaporate. So, my goat's milk soap, we have a goat named Honey who's due to have her kid in 21 days. I'm so excited. And the hilarious, this is another kind of weird, quinky thing. I created the soap, goat milk and honey, and then we bought a Toggenburg goat 2 miles down the road from us, whose name was Honey. And how crazy is that? Goat milk and honey, yeah. It's goat milk because we have oat milk. Okay, so I'm supposed to add a quarter cup, and I'm like Rachel Ray when I measure things, I just dump it in. And I can tell by the color. You all familiar with everything in charcoal? Detox? My brother was very gassy as a child, and my dad always threatened to make me have to get charcoal. But it's wonderful for absorbing. They sell it in capsules, absorbing toxins and on the skin even. I don't know if you can kind of see. You see it's like gray, black. I'm going to blend it just a bit more. I'll walk around if you all want to see it. I just worry about myself tripping and then advertising the floor. Any of you have any soaping questions? Or questions for me about things I can run? Okay, now let's stop here again. Can I see something? Did you hear me say that if I hand stir, like at the craft shows or at the events, it takes an hour, sometimes more? And when you stick blend, it takes about 5 minutes. Or immersion blend, we all put.
Yeah, that's good to know, because we make it at home and we hand blend it. It seems like it takes forever. I never thought to use an immersion blender.
Yeah, and I could get one from Goodwill or one of those places, a used one.
Yeah.
Although this one I got from Costco, maybe this and something else for $25. And it's a heavy, it's nice to have stainless steel because you're going to have some water and rinsing it a lot. You don't really want. So we started off making lavender bud, which is still our most popular soap because we grow our lavender, put that in there, and now we're up to 42 different kinds of soap. It's because I have a sickness. Where did my basil lady go? I love combining things. Oh, she's back in there. I love trying new things. This still isn't quite. Why don't we do? You guys, I have this thing that some soapers use where you pass soap right, left, and then whoever has it gets to pick a bar. You guys have anything more clever than that? Ask me a question, you get a bar of soap. I have some giveaways, that's what I'm saying. And let me explain. This is still not set up. If I pour it in there, it'll soak out the bottom, so I don't want to pour it yet. There are some soaps. Could one of you help me? Can you pick up one of these on this end? Just pick it up and hold it up. They say soap class soap. So these are like trial batches that we made with crazy blends. Like it smells like root beer. It's wintergreen and cinnamon. And the lady, because she's not here, I can say this. When I said, okay, add a tablespoon, she dumped about half a cup of this red clay. So I picked a bar that had the least red clay, because when you use it in a shower, it looks like a bleed, because the red clay is so red. I knew you didn't want that, so I brought just a tip. But these are soap class soaps, so if you love it and go on the website, oh, that's cool. If you go on the website and look, or if you don't find those, they're like one-of-a-kind soaps. The flower blooms on St. John the Baptist Day, which is June 21st or something like that. And when you so you know the story, you guys had to cut off, right? So when you put the flower in oil and then a little heat, it turns bright blood red. And it's really anti-inflammatory. It's nice. Are there any FDA people here? Am I getting in trouble? I'm not a doctor. Don't like playing one on on TV.
I missed that. What kind of flower was that?
St. John's wort.
Oh, okay.
And they're little yellow, and they're prolific. They self-seed, but they're biennial, so you have to make sure every year you're planting some. But they're tiny little yellow flowers, and you pick them, and I stick them in a big canning jar, and filled with olive oil. And then I have several batches of them, but the lotion bars have some of that oil in them. You could really use any. I wouldn't use coconut oil because in this combination with the lye, it's moisturizing, but it tends to be a drying oil. People use it in a lotion bar because it becomes solid and they like that, it doesn't melt. But if you use enough beeswax, which beeswax is wonderful, it protects, it makes like a second skin, really, a layer. If you're a hairdresser or a nurse or someone that has their hands in water a lot, and you use a lotion bar with beeswax in it, it just coats and feels sticky a bit. Now I wish I brought some. But anyway, I'm giving out 1,000 little samples of those. So pouring and packaging 1,000 tiny little lotion bars is interesting. This is much more fun than that. But it's a really great thing. I guess that would be something that could be done making salves. But there are no preservatives because there's no water. Whenever you add water to something, like if you ever see someone that makes a lotion that's liquid with water and they say no preservatives, I would be really careful. And not that I want you to stick a bunch of preservatives on your body, but you can grow a lot of crazy bacteria in lotion. Like I've seen some people that say they have goat milk lotion, no preservatives. So either they're not telling the truth, or it's like a bad cocktail.
Do you have a chemical reaction going in there that's thickening the?
Yes. As soon as the lye hits the oils.
So how long does it typically take for you to get it to get to the thickness that?
In my home environment, and I partially didn't stick one so much because it's hard to give you to hear me talk, or it's not really fun for you to watch me just stick one in. But 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. This rice bran oil properties are like olive oil, which are really good, but it can tend to slow down trace.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Is there an alternative to the coconut oil? I know her mom's producing coconut.
I've met one other person. Yeah, you don't have to soak with coconut oil. Coconut oil, I met one other person that has said that before. And is that eating it or topically? Not that someone who eats it wants to try it topically, but I have heard that sometimes someone that maybe is allergic to something, and then they try it in a soap, it doesn't react the same way. But yeah, you can soak with you can make an olive oil soap. It just takes a long time to cure. And I would use castor oil if you're going to soap like that. I would use castor oil. If you're going to soap, a couple of things. You can buy lye locally at like an Ace Hardware or a Menards. It's more expensive at Menards. You can mail order, but then you're paying shipping. I buy my 50-pound bags from a lady that my husband thinks is a DEA agent. Who sells lye out of the trunk, right? But no, she works for like AAA Chemicals or something. But
How do you store a big bag of lye like that?
if water hits it, it's not good. You don't really want it to clump. When our company started, I just decided I didn't want to use animal fats. Now, when I reenact, that's all they had, so I use animal fats. I don't have a problem personally, like tallow can make an excellent laundry detergent. I'm torn between, I'm not a huge meat eater either, and not just for ethical reasons. I mean, I don't like how a lot of people process chicken and animals, but if there are plenty of vegetable options that work just as well, then I'm good with that. However, if I had an animal that I butchered, I would want to use every part of it. You know, I wouldn't want to waste that. So I guess that's a roundabout way to answer your question. Did you want to fertilize stuff? That's a good question.
So the ones that you sell in the store?
So, the ones that I sell in the store, I do not have tallow. I do have a reenactment soap that I don't know is online. Someone requested recently a bar. I might have put it online, but that does have rendered fats. Yeah, this is taking sweet time. All that I'm gonna do is pour it, and if you ever take a class with me, I'm like really strict on scraping every last bit out of the bucket because it's wasted.